Well, good morning and welcome to Live Impact News right here on 13 News Now Plus. Now, you know, on this platform, we do 2 hours of live news, and we like to bring you all of the most breaking and all of the most impactful stories as they're happening here locally, nationally, and even globally. And we will jump around to all sorts of states, cities, countries, press conferences, and trials throughout our 2 hours on a daily basis. But today, our main story, our top story, is focused right here in Hampton Roads because we are in the midst of a weather impact alert right here in our viewing area and beyond in the Commonwealth. And so that will be our main focus today. But as you know, before we move to our main focus, let's first state that it's 10:01 a.m. on December 5th. It is a Friday, the very first Friday in December. It's officially meteorological winter as of 5 days ago. And we are joined by super producer Sarah Calloway on the ones and twos. Sarah, are you prepped for weather to impact our alerts?
We're ready.
Okay. That's all. Short, simple, to the point.
Weather to impact our alerts.
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah,
Get ready for your alerts to be impacted.
Can I start before we jump into the weather? And let me start by saying things are much improved. So we've already made it through the worst of this. There are some important things to talk about, and we'll do that. But Connor, who is wearing short sleeve shirt right now? We're in the dead of winter. You know, you can't fit into this, I don't think.
Go ahead, give us a...
I think this is one of our...
We can make this work.
All right.
Oh, this is cozy snug. Look at that.
I come in here...
Wow, is this custom?
Actually, I thought that was...
Did they tailor you for this?
I thought that was one of our former female meteorologist jackets there. I didn't know it would fit.
Well, it fits like a glove.
You look amazing.
It's not,
all right.
It's like this was made specifically for me. This is fantastic.
You don't mind the zipper on the wrong side at all.
By the way, that's Craig Moeller, one of our meteorologists here at 13 News Now. We never did intro him. Much more snug for a weather impact alert day. And I know you did that, Craig. One, because you do want to keep me warm. But two, you noticed that I'm wearing my loudest shirt for the weather impact alert day. I had to get approval from the bosses upstairs to even break this shirt out.
I like this shirt, but it looks like you're ready to like golf down at Palm Springs or something, or Augusta. I don't know what you're doing.
About ready to throw down a 112 in the sunshine, but there is no sunshine to be found here in Hampton Roads, so we'll remain indoors. We'll save the golf for later, but we've been saving the Craig Moeller for right now. Much improved is the headline, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I want to start off. You can see we have our weather impact interceptor out there. Taylor Stephenson has been out driving around this morning. She started off south side, headed up through the peninsula, got up to Gloucester, spent some time up in Saluda, actually made it all the way up to Middlesex County, and she can speak to us, I guess, in a bit here about the varying conditions that she experienced along the way. But right now, as she's returning back south side, it is rain, and that is the messaging that we have now. Most of this snowy weather has transitioned. You're looking live, I believe. Is that Richmond that we see there on that screen? I think Sarah, and I'm putting our super producer Sarah to the test. Can you pull up News 1, Channel 2? Let's show what's happening up in D.C. Snow up that way as well as we deal with rain here in Hampton Roads. Parts of the region still seeing the snow falling. And again, right there at the White House, you see the Washington Memorial behind it. You can see the snow is flying. Very picturesque. Mm-hmm. And honestly, VDOT did such a great job getting out ahead of this, pre-treating the roads. This snow event has performed exactly according to plan. I mean, sometimes the models do a pretty good job. They nailed it on this one. So they're making forecasters look pretty smart across the entire region. I want to go ahead and go to our snow depth map. And again, this is a map that the National Weather Service and the Weather Prediction Center put together. They monitor all of the snow depths. And we'll zoom into Hampton Roads. You see snow covering a good chunk of the country. But now with the overnight and early morning snow today, western parts of the area have seen up to maybe an inch or so in those areas shaded in the light blue. As you get into that light to kind of medium blue, I guess, there you have a little bit more than an inch. That was what fell. Of course, now it's warmer, so a lot of that is compacted, and some of it has actually been washed away by some of the rain. As you get closer to Richmond, it was more like 2 to 3 inches off to the north. So all of this very much anticipated. I'll show you a couple of pictures that were sent in by our 13 News Now Daybreakers on our Facebook group. Laurie Anderson up in Williamsburg, gorgeous. Just a nice coating of snow. And that was actually earlier this morning. Williamsburg saw much more than that, but that was kind of as it was falling. Very beautiful, don't you think, Connor?
That's a gorgeous picture. Shout out to our Daybreakers who are always good for some viewer picks, which we love here at 13 News Now. And that's a real snowfall. I mean, that's not a wintry mix that we're looking at there in Williamsburg.
No,
that is snow there.
Yeah, Williamsburg, Toano, I mean, some of the areas off to the north, they got even more snow. Some places 2 inches closer to 3. Some spots up around up towards Richmond. Now, as we're looking at Denby, this is Newport News, a good coating on that deck, and you see the elevated surfaces there, the lawn furniture and the patio furniture showing a little accumulation. That's in Newport News.
Yeah.
So we had it there. It has since changed over to rain and has melted and washed it away.
Shout out to Brian and Barb Wilkins. That was a beautiful patio, by
Gorgeous.
the way.
Look at the work Edna did here, sending this in from Williamsburg. Again, a nice little coating on some of the Christmas decorations there. Really got you in the festive mood. I will tell you, our Daybreak anchor, Ashley Smith, she literally gasped at one of the pictures that was sent in earlier. I wish I had it. No, it was a live shot. I'm sorry, it wasn't a picture sent in. There were Christmas lights up, and the snow was falling, and the combination.
You know what?
She had her Hallmark Christmas movie.
I believe we do have that picture. While you keep talking, I will try to find it because I did see a picture that was very much like that earlier with the holiday lights. Yeah,
we had, like I said, the job that our live crews did, it was great. Now, here's the coolest thing about all of this. Yeah, we got some snow. And a lot of times that can be very, very problematic. You know, I was talking to Marta and Ashley during Daybreak this morning. This was one of those mornings, a morning commute. You know, normally it just takes a little bit of rain and things can go haywire for our commute times. We really had folks doing an excellent job of dealing with some of those slushy areas or slick spots off to the north, the wet conditions south side. We really made it through the morning commute in great shape. Fridays tend to be a little bit lighter with the volume of traffic. And you can see right now with this live sky view, this is from Town Center atop the Westin. Our Thompson Creek Window Company Skyview looking back over towards 264. That's the interstate and Independence Boulevard. There you see it is wet. The rain is falling. Earlier this morning, a little bit of mix, but it was a pretty quick transition over for the south side. Now, the air temperature at the airport currently 42 degrees. We have east-northeast winds 15, so a little breezy, but certainly nothing to be too alarmed with. It's not like it's a destructive wind. It's just a little bit of a east-northeast breeze. Let me ask Sarah and Connor here while we're having a discussion versus me just going on forever. What do we have to the east-northeast of Hampton Roads?
To the east-northeast of Hampton Roads, the Atlantic Ocean.
All right. And the water temperatures there are in the 50s. So when you have an east-northeast wind blowing off of water temperatures in the 50s, what do you think that does to our coastal temperatures?
East-northeast wind blowing in the... Are they warm water temperatures?
Warm waters, yeah.
And what does that do to our coastal climate?
It warms it up.
It provides that... The little pocket we have, which would, I guess, explain why we didn't get snow in the Virginia Beach area, why it was just rain.
It's warmer air. It's a marine layer coming in, and that's why our temperatures in Virginia Beach, down across the Outer Banks, they've been in the upper 40s, close to 50 this morning.
Yeah, so, I love it when you do pop quizzes.
Yeah, a little just raising everybody's weather IQ. You love this, right?
Yeah.
So we did get this little east-northeast wind bringing in the warm water again, or the warm air off the water. This was all part of the forecast equation, why we were calling for the rain along Virginia Beach and south. Now, I will say the eastern shore kind of fought that a little bit because places like Melfa were below freezing for a good chunk this morning. As a matter of fact, Cape Charles, Melfa, I was thinking areas up and down along the eastern shore were closer to 31, 32 degrees for a while. They got a little bit of snow there, but they have also warmed up now. You're looking at the radar, rain shower, south side, Virginia Beach. It's light back across the Lessener Bridge. You head over towards Little Creek and Ocean View, back over the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, some light rain showers. 264, 64 interchange. It's wet right now. Pockets of rain, moderate to heavier back across Suffolk. Look at the snow. Look at that radar trend right there over your shoulder. You can see how we had the snow widespread. Now it's pretty much wound down. Just a few pockets of flurries, and those areas off to the north winding down pretty quickly. One of the last little pockets around Jamaica, and we're not talking about the warm tropical island. We're talking about Jamaica, Virginia. We have, you can see just a few showers, snow showers back out towards Stevensville as well. South side, it's been mostly rain, a little bit of snow still out there across central Sussex County, extending from west of Wakefield down through Stony Creek. Jeremiah Beatty was out there this morning reporting live from Wakefield. We had Jordy Clark up in Williamsburg, and again, Taylor Stephenson in our Weather Impact Interceptor.
Can we do something? Do you mind if we rewind? Can we rewind what we just saw? And I have a question about something that I noticed as that was moving through. I don't know if it's easy to get back to that.
How far back we need to
It was not far back from where we ended with the forecast kind of moving over our area. There looked like there was a flash point where there was a little opening that the color did not cover. I don't know if it's...
no, I mean, we can take the max one full. I think that's what you're talking to right
That is, yep, the max one. Right, kind of, there's a little flash point where it's just right there.
Right.
Where there's no coverage. Is there any explanation, or is that just kind of how the graphics go sometimes?
Pockets of drier air. I mean, were you talking about... I'm not
so
sure.
Right below, in between 95 and Williamsburg, right there, right above Franklin, there's a little pocket right there.
Okay.
That just has
and in that case, no, that's the precip winding down.
Okay.
That is radar saying there were targets there.
Yeah.
Now it's not. So that's actually just the bottom edge of that cell that was kind of moving.
Okay.
It actually tapered off as the cell was moving east-northeast, but it looked like it jumped up to the north. But yeah, that's just diminishing returns on the radar. You've heard of financial diminishing returns. Well, this is radar diminishing returns on the radar.
Okay.
So yeah, that's speaking of that. Very alert, very conscious of you to call.
This is one of those days where we get to really dive into weather, and I'm trying to approach it as someone who has a little bit less kind of knowledge and understanding, so that we can learn a couple things. Now, I have noticed as well, this thing started early.
Yeah, early this morning, and again, our crews were out there. Sarah, if we've got crews standing by that we want to talk with, I can join you and Connor with this. Who's standing by right now? And I do want to get to some temperatures here in a moment, because it's really been about the city by city and kind of community by community breakdown of these temperatures. That's really told the story of who's seeing rain, snow, where the mixing is. So we'll get into that in a moment, but who do we have standing by?
We have meteorologist Taylor Stephenson on the roads she's heading from Norfolk toward Virginia Beach on 264, so I can bring her in
there
now.
There she is. Hey, Taylor. Great to have you here on Live Impact News. Connor's here. He may have a bunch of questions for you. I don't know. But you've done an amazing job all morning. If you could start off, you're just looking at rain right now, correct?
Yeah, so this morning I'm looking at rain here. We just entered into Virginia Beach, as Sarah said. We were in Norfolk for just a slight bit, and now we're heading clear close to town center in Virginia Beach. So I'll show you what I'm looking at. And you can see that the roads are wet this morning. We also just passed by a crash between Witch Duck Road and town center in Virginia Beach. So be very careful on the roads as they are slick. And one thing that we don't really talk about as often is how much water gets kicked up by cars, especially those 16-wheelers on wet roads like these. So it's best, as Jaron is doing a great job of, is keeping your distance between other cars, between you and as you're out about on the road. So let's take a look at the side views, and you can see a much different story here on the south side compared to what we saw on the Middle Peninsula and even the peninsula, where we had dustings of snow. As Craig said, that marine layer really played a big part in this, because as I'm looking right now at our data here in our weather vehicle, it says that temperatures right now on the ground are right at 42.7 degrees, though the wind chill is right around 30 to 32 degrees. So it is a cold day outside, but doesn't really matter what the wind chill is. It all depends on that temperature, especially that ground temperature when it comes to, first of all, having any type of precipitation. For those who don't know, to have snow, you have to have the whole column of air at 32 degrees or below. You have that sneaky little marine layer, that warm nose we call it, comes in, and it just completely messes up what type of precipitation you have. That's why we had a very cold rain for the south side that's, as you see, ongoing now, but also ground temperatures. When they're above 32 degrees, anything that does fall will not stick very well. And again, you're seeing those wet conditions on the road, so just please take your time. But definitely a much different scene from the winter wonderland out in Saluda and Gloucester Point to just kind of a cold mess here in Virginia Beach, Craig.
Taylor, earlier, talking a little bit Met to Met here, meteorologist to meteorologist, we were looking at the moisture content of that snow earlier when you were up in the Middle Peninsula, and really even as you were just crossing over to Gloucester Point, you were pointing out the moisture content. It was pretty rich. I think as you got farther north and encountered some colder and drier air, maybe it got a little bit powdery. Could you talk about the varying conditions that you've seen from location to location and how that's changed?
Yeah, I will say one thing that is so fun about being a meteorologist and being outside is that I kind of know a little bit more about the meteorological aspects, and having that radar super helpful. Hampton Roads was always on that rain snow line. The further north you went, the higher chances of seeing some of that snow, but also it depends on the temperature, and Craig, you know this, but when you have temperatures hovering right around 32 degrees, you can get snow, but that snow is going to be more of a wet snow, bigger flakes, and it's going to be more compact. So when we were in Gloucester Point, that snow made perfect snowballs because it just had so much moisture. We got up to Saluda, it was about a degree colder, so the snow was a little bit fluffier, not by much, but definitely a little bit of a difference there in Saluda when we did have some temperatures that were hovering right around 32, 31 degrees, where in Gloucester we were kind of at that 32, 33 degree line. But then you get here to the south side, and because temperatures are above freezing, it's all rain.
The weather interceptor is amazing. It does have the ability to read those the pavement temperatures as well, not just the ambient air temperatures, but the pavement temperatures. You pointed out something interesting. We were a little concerned about bridges and overpasses, but what you noticed crossing from Gloucester coming south side to the peninsula and eventually south side, you didn't see a lot of fluctuation over the bridges. Is that correct?
That's right. We didn't really see much difference between the main roads and the bridges that were elevated from off of the road, and I think that it's all because of the pre-treatment that VDOT definitely did. We saw a sand truck go by us when we were in Gloucester Point, or just outside of Gloucester, excuse me, not Gloucester Point, but in Gloucester, where we did see a sand truck go by us, and it was dumping sand, helping to alleviate those roads. Sand, even rock salt, helps to raise that freezing point, right? Lower that freezing point to where it takes a lot colder temperatures for those snowy and icy conditions to stick to the roads. So instead of being 32 degrees when it comes to having those road temperatures and allowing for wet, wintry weather to stick, it allows for those roads to have to be somewhere in the 20s for that colder, wintry weather to stick on the road. So the sand, the salt, all that very useful, but there was not really much of a difference between the bridges and the roads, which is a good thing, because for those who may have seen those signs before that, or those yellow diamond signs that have the bridges iced before the roads, a lot of times that's true because that air gets underneath those bridges, allows it to cool down faster because it is an elevated surface compared to the roads. We didn't see any issues crossing between the peninsulas and even crossing through the south side as well.
All right, Taylor Connor here. Hello, Taylor. Great to have you. Thanks for joining us. I get to hang out with two meteorologists today, which is like, what a treat, what a treat. Now, in terms of condition of the roads, you've done a wonderful job of kind of describing how it is driving out there for you guys. We see footage from earlier in Gloucester. The roads look virtually empty. We've been looking at some of your live footage from the vehicle right now, and it does look like there's a steady flow of traffic. In terms of other vehicles on the roads, has it been pretty normal, maybe less than usual? What have you seen in terms of traffic?
So right now it's fairly light, and I'll show you what my view from the windshield And you can see that at least traffic, we're heading eastbound here on 264. My exact location at the moment, I'm sitting here in Virginia Beach, and I am right by, we just passed Hilltop area of Virginia Beach, so kind of parallel to Alaskan Road, so heading towards the ocean front. And you can see that there are a few cars here and there, but not much traffic. The only traffic that I really saw, or even like the most volume of cars, was right there by that accident just beyond Witch Duck Road in Virginia Beach. You can see those cars heading westbound towards Norfolk, a little bit more volume there, but not much. I think that's one because, you know, we are in the middle of the workday, so most people are either at work, their kids are at school, or they're at home. And two, we did have a few closings today, so I think that also did impact that work commute as well. But as you see, we're kind of coming to the end of 264 now, heading towards the ocean front, and at the moment, not much. But of course, wouldn't expect much here near the ocean front. Definitely not a beach day by any means.
I stand by the fact that I can make any day into a beach day. This day is significantly testing that theory. I think you might be right, Taylor. A tough day to be out at the ocean front, but we appreciate that you are out there giving us some insight and giving us some updates. Please be safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon back here at the station.
Yeah, Taylor's going to be doing the noon show.
Yep, thank you so
we'll
much,
look
and I'll
forward to
be
getting
there
back.
giving you the forecast at noon.
Awesome. You can catch Taylor at noon, the hardest working meteorologist in showbiz. No offense, Craig. You're in the top 3 at least, and I know that because you have a brand new advisory to give us here in studio.
Just in. So I want to update you on the winter weather advisory. When we came in this morning, the advisory was up. It included the peninsula and really Western Virginia, the southern part of the Piedmont area. As we go to this map, let's take this full share so we can get a good look at it. You'll notice Roanoke, Blacksburg, some of those areas out to the west no longer under winter weather advisory. But the reason I really wanted to bring this map to light, and the reason I was telling you, Connor, this just in, the peninsula now, Hampton, Newport News, York, no longer under the winter weather advisory. Same thing can be said for Isle of Wight, as you come south of the James River, and up on the Middle Peninsula, Matthews, no longer included in the winter weather advisory. Those areas were all part of that advisory earlier this morning. So obviously we've seen the warmer weather and more rain showers, but those areas in purple, once you get out west of Franklin, Southampton, Sussex, out around Wakefield, up towards areas in Surrey County, James City County, and areas even back across Gloucester and Middlesex, those areas, the northern neck, still under the advisory. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew the peninsula is no longer under that once you come south of, Janet.
We get a round of applause from Janet Roach.
From the peninsula each and every morning. She's happy to know Newport News and Hampton no longer under that advisory.
And I talked to Janet this morning, and she kind of got the full breadth of our weather here. She started out in Hampton where there was snow going on. She had snow in her backyard. As she drove towards Norfolk, got more into that sort of rainy precipitation. So Janet gave us the full scale.
I've been trying to sell Janet on living south side for years, and she loves the peaceful peninsula. I do too, but you are brave for doing that commute each and every day. All right, let's take a look at the radar, guys, because again, that rain is moving out. I told you guys we really needed to key on the temperature. So this is what I've really been harping on all morning. Look at the Outer Banks, mid to upper 40s right now from Kitty Hawk back towards Corolla, Duck. You come back over towards Elizabeth City, 44 there, 43 in Edenton. The coolest readings, once you get out into Northampton County in North Carolina, you've got 33 degrees there at Seaboard, but most of the area obviously above freezing. Looking across the south side, our chilliest readings around 34 degrees out in Isle of Wight. So Windsor, you take a look at Carsville, Ivor, Zuni, some of those areas looking at temperatures basically in the mid-30s. As you come across Chesapeake, low 40s, lower 40s for Virginia Beach. Portsmouth, Norfolk, we are also in the low 40s. Things are looking much, much better for us. Off to the north, there you go. You can see the areas Up around Chickahominy and Centerville, Lightfoot, still pretty cool. Low to mid-30s there. Fort Eustis, 36. Had some beautiful pictures sent in from Fort Eustis with snow earlier. Menchville, 37. 37 at Seaford. Poquoson now 40. It's 39 at the East End, Newport News, and 39 around Phoebus and Buckrow as well. Eastern Shore has been cooler, but now they're in the low to mid-30s. Kind of interesting. I would have thought the ocean waters would have moderated those temps a bit more. You see Wachapreague at 36, but it's still cold around Nancock and Exmoor down through Bird's Nest. Cape Charles now at 35. And finally, Saluda at 35, Gloucester at 35, 36 at Hayes. So all of that really the key to determining those precip types and what we're dealing with.
Okay, so a very thorough advisory, excellent update, and temperature-wise, those much colder temperatures up there on the peninsula, not much colder, but a bit colder
sure,
than down here on the south side. Yeah, I wonder if you're ready to sort of somebody who looked at the weather and they said, look, I work from home, I'm staying in all day today, but it is still a Friday night and I would love to go get dinner or something like that. Once we get closer to the afternoon, the evening, can people expect a little warm up or is it going to remain chilly?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Let's take a look right now at our future cast. This will give you a sense. I think this will answer Connor's question pretty adequately here. You take a look at the map. This is right now around 10:15. We're going to jog it forward. Whatever's left out there, rain showers and snow showers should be tapering off. Now, there's still a chance. This is one model. There could still be a few stray showers late afternoon, maybe around 4 or 5 o'clock. But look at how much drier it is in general. You're also going to see clouds. And you remember what clouds act like when they're covering a region, right?
A thermal layer of protection?
Very, very close. Okay. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is essentially.
A comforter.
Yeah, no, it's like I'd say a big old blanket.
Big old blanket.
Yeah,
that's
comforter,
right.
Sure.
I tried to science it. I tried to.
Well, it is a thermal layer, I guess, to a degree, but basically the clouds do pin what heating there is at the Earth's surface, near the Earth's surface. When it's clear, that warm air rises, escapes, and it gets really cold, especially with light winds. In this case, with the clouds there, it will act like a blanket, and it's going to keep temperatures through the overnight above freezing near the coast. We're talking morning lows in the upper 30s to low 40s. Inland air is still a little bit cooler, so out towards Emporia, Richmond along I-95, there could be a few frosty or icy patches tomorrow morning. We're going to be watching for that. But many parts of Hampton Roads a bit milder early tomorrow morning. Highs tomorrow back in the mid to upper 40s and then clearing tomorrow night. Sunday will be warmer with highs closer to 50. So that's what we are looking at there. Now, as far as the 7-day outlook goes, and I know you guys want to know about that, and I'm not exactly sure why my maps are giving me trouble right now. This tends to happen from time to time. But basically what we are looking at, temperatures over the weekend are going to warm up. We're going to see Sunday's high up around 50 degrees. So we'll certainly take that. As we go, we are going to find the conditions cooler again Monday and Tuesday. So, yeah, you might be happy with me for the moment when I say it's going to be nicer on Sunday. But by Monday, we are back into the low 40s for highs, guys. So it is going to be chilly once again. There's that 7-day. I knew it was trying to hide from me. I'll pop this up real quick. You're going to find the temperatures topping out near 50 on Sunday, back to 43 Monday, and then into the mid-40s on Tuesday. Closer to average Wednesday and Thursday, but it stays below average over the next 7 days. And as we mentioned yesterday, I think, the following week as well.
And despite the improvements as we move towards Sunday, despite my shirt, still no golf to be played this weekend unless you're truly dedicated to the craft.
I mean, if it gets near 50,
you
better be out there working on at least your chipping game. Come on, man.
Greg, don't. Are you out there 50 degrees? Short game only. Short game only.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what. I also want to mention we've got some guests in the studio. Are we good? We are. We got a. Have you been out driving around?
Yeah.
Can you come here for a sec? Come on in. Let me bring in Brian Gregory.
Brian Gregory, ladies and
station
gentlemen.
General manager. And if we were doing something wrong with the forecast or the coverage,
nailed it,
Brian would tell us. Thank you, man.
You guys nailed it.
Here,
I mean,
I
right
don't know
on.
if we can see him. Maybe, you got him on the high wide.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this one really did work out.
Yeah.
And I know you live closer to the beach. Just a rain event for you.
Just rain.
Did you ever
Yeah.
see any mixing at all?
No mixing. A little too warm even this morning. Windy.
Yeah, a little breezy. Well,
Yep.
the east-northeast winds are coming in, and we know that moderates those coastal
Yep.
temperatures.
Yep.
We did have a little mixing here in downtown Norfolk at the onset, but it quickly changed over.
Okay.
And honestly, the forecast amounts everything right on
It seems
target.
like you guys Brian, nailed come a it little exactly. closer to the microphone, just a touch
yeah.
for us. Yeah.
You know, I like to try to stay far away from these things.
No, this is our behind-the-scenes guy right
Yeah,
here, but
yeah.
not today.
And Brian, you are truly, I mean, you are a weather enthusiast, so you do like to follow the models and everything
Yeah.
else.
I thought it all
Anything-
justified. It was pretty darn close to what you guys have been saying for several days, right?
It really did verify beautifully.
Yeah.
We saw the snow areas north and inland. And again, thank you to our viewers for sharing pictures.
Yeah.
And we were able to verify all that. Now, just wet out there, but that
Right.
can still be problematic. So we're continuing our weather impact alert through the noon show, even though a lot of the snow's basically over. Wet roads can still cause issues.
Right. Well, I had an appointment down Chesapeake, kind of Indian Creek Road this morning, so drove down there off of Witch Duck. Wet, soggy, a lot of rain on the roads, a little bit of ponding, so always a little bit of a concern, right? And then came over Indian River and came up 64. A lot less traffic than I normally see on a Friday. It looks like a lot of people heeded you, maybe wanted to stay home a little bit.
We were talking
Not
about
even thinking
that.
about trying to get out in that mess,
Yeah.
right?
Marta and Ashley both commenting how light the traffic was
Yeah.
this morning. Folks did a great job. And how about VDOT? I mean, they got
Yeah.
out pre-treated. Even those areas inland that dealt with 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of snow in some areas far west, the main arteries with the roads seem to be pretty good.
Well, I noticed that VDOT also put some on the Rudy Inlet, the bridge there, or coated in brine. And I noticed this morning, even when it was raining, that was a completely dry surface. So a lot more of a relief for me, because going over that bridge, you just never know. It gets so high up there, you know?
So I'm going to bring this up because I know you're very passionate. Brian's one of the guys, that really a driving force behind bringing us the Weather Impact Interceptor.
Yeah.
Amazing tool. And like
Nice.
this morning, we had Taylor out. We were able to actually kind of use that, not just as a way to bring you great pictures, but to break down what's going on. We were noticing the pavement temperatures, okay? So
Yeah.
that vehicle can do ambient temperatures, but it also keys in on the actual driving surfaces and pavements. We've got those sensors on it. It was noting that there wasn't a dramatic difference
Yeah.
between, we're looking at the Interceptor live right now as they're headed back down 264.
Over by Top Golf in
A
Virginia
little
Beach
bit of
there.
that ponding we're talking about, splashback as we call it, right? Coming
The
up and
spray
coating
coming off the
spray,
vehicles,
yep.
absolutely. So
Always got to be prepared with that stuff, because you get those little lanes out there with the water kind of builds up a little bit in there, right?
and sometimes there can be just low spots in the road where water collects a bit more. And if you've got a neighboring vehicle that hits that, you can literally have your visibility reduced very quickly.
Sure.
So anyway, I just thought it was really interesting putting this thing through its paces. We were able to find out which parts of the area had more of a wet snow, where it was a little bit drier. And then again, the varying conditions. Again,
Yeah.
great. Basically, I consider this a great warm-up for real storm coverage with the winter.
And that's what VDOT said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they get to test their logistics. They get to see, okay, should we have had more trucks deployed here, there, or whatever.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a major crisis. This is just taking a look, saying, hey, this is what's happening. Folks obviously heeded the messaging, and I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Well, a couple things here, and I'll bring in Janet here. Maybe she can talk about her commute in here, and that may be an interesting perspective. You were talking just minutes
She
ago
got
about
both.
how
She got the full
everything,
breadth
right?
of it, yeah.
Two things I'm thinking about here. We're getting a lot of cold weather early in the season.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of moisture with that, right? I'm noticing that there's a Pineapple Express, I think, coming in
Hang on a
over on
second.
the West
Can
Coast,
I
right?
bring up now, just for a second, the fact that I literally went into your office about 2-3 weeks ago and said, hey, early December is looking cold. We were talking, there's
Long
some
range Euro.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the longer range patterns. There was some discussion about the polar vortex weakening a little bit and some colder air spilling in the northeast U.S.
Yeah.
Really cold right now. But this is all stuff that we've been anticipating, and now with this moisture feeding
Yeah.
in, we got to be watching.
Yeah, our director of sales oversees Minneapolis, so she's flying out next week.
Oh, bitterly
She was talking about just some of the cold temperatures she's going to have to deal with. It almost seems like we've unlocked the polar vortex area up there, and we're going to start getting a lot of cold air in.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of moisture with a little cold air. I know Tim is on Team Snow. I feel like a lot of us are on Team Snow until we have to deal with it. It's kind of interesting that it's this early in the year and we're dealing with a lot of it. So,
But remember, we even had some back in November. We had
Yeah.
a freakishly early snow.
Yeah.
And if you want to go back, and again, you can't tell that we're passionate about this at all, can you? Look at August. Look at September.
Below
Look at
average.
October.
Below
All
average.
Below
Yeah.
average. November, we had some
Yes.
ups and downs, but this hasn't just been like a one and done or, we had a chilly week or whatever. This has been a months-long pattern.
It's a trend now, right? I mean, it's something that you guys are monitoring
absolutely.
overall.
And looking out over the next 8 to 14 days,
Really good shots
warmer
here.
in the southwest.
Yep.
That part of the country, very warm. We're on the chilly side of that teeter-totter.
So I'm gonna get out, but if I thank you for having me on, Connor. I really
course.
appreciate it. Sarah, thank you. Really appreciate your good work that you do here. I do want to say, I mean, we have been talking about this weather impact alert day for several. We've been talking about the weather focusing in.
3 days.
Feels like the forecast really verified, and I'm a strong believer in believing that our local Mets, they're right 99.5% of the time. Weather is always something that's tough to deal with, right? You're trying to predict the future, right? But you guys do a great job of this. And that forecast verified really well. And I think for our viewers, they got a good feeling, especially when the models came back in yesterday and maybe took a little bit of the snow level totals down just slightly.
Yeah, they were
timing,
pendulum
moved it
swinging a
earlier,
little bit, yeah.
right? But I thought you guys nailed it and you were on it. So I really appreciate that, especially someone that has to come in from the ocean front. So
I appreciate
thank
that,
you.
Brian. Honestly, I mean, he's
Hey,
always very
you nailed it,
supportive.
Brian Gregory. You nailed it with that live hit that you just did here in the Live Impact News
I
studio.
will say the entire weather team has worked hard to stay on top of it, and I'm glad everything's worked out. Come on in, Janet.
It's Janet Roach
Come
time.
talk
This
to
is
us.
what the
Brian,
people have
thank
been
you.
waiting for here.
Come on in.
Janet Roach in the
Okay.
house, our beloved news anchor, and the observer of weather this morning with that
was.
commute from Hampton.
We're from Newport News.
Yeah,
From Newport News.
From Newport
First
News.
of all, what does that say, Craig?
Turning into parking lot.
Yes. You know why I'm happy to see that?
Is that Taylor? Who is that?
That is Gabrielle.
Oh, Gabrielle.
Oh,
All right,
shout
she's
out,
made it
Gabby.
back.
Because she is in Charlottesville.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
A little bit
Yes.
dicier up that way.
Yes, and I was surprised when she said, "Oh yes, it's still in the 20s in terms of temperature."
Okay.
And she has this real steep driveway. I'm like, "You're not going to be able to get up the driveway.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
are you going to get to work?" You know, and so she made it to work. So I'm happy about that.
Can
okay?
I add that on the anchor desk throughout the week since Monday, Janet's been talking about the weather in Charlottesville.
Yeah, well, you
and
got
how that's
to.
going to
Yeah.
impact Gab trying to do her thing and live her life.
And that's one of those things, a lot of times, especially what we're doing right here on Live Impact News, we're doing not just the immediate Hampton Roads area, but the region, because so many folks, whether you have students, friends, family, maybe you have travel or business that carries you out to those
Yeah.
other areas, it really is a broader view. Obviously, we focus heavily right here in Hampton Roads, but I'm glad that you were able to get a little comfort, knowing your daughter is home
yes,
safely.
knowing
so.
that she is at work right now. But my commute was not bad at all. I
Yeah.
mean, it was snowing in Newport News. It was coming down. The grass not completely covered, but the windshield was. So I couldn't find my snow. I was like, who took it this time? I couldn't find the scraper. But anyway, got in, and then it stopped snowing just as I was leaving. And so it was fine. The roads were fine. Traffic was light. So people were listening. Traffic
But
was
you
light.
did see some minor accumulation out there for a little bit, like
Yeah.
on some of the heavy machinery in the backyard or
yeah.
on the fences, or is that?
You know about my backyard.
I'm just giving her a hard time. All right, so elevated surfaces, cooler surfaces, a little bit of snow.
And then it started raining once I got to the south side. And you know what concerns me the most is that Western Freeway Bridge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
That bridge, that's the worst place to be in bad weather. I mean, it is just because it's so high up, and then, all the air underneath it. But it was fine. And people were obeying traffic, signals, and so it was a good thing.
Yeah. No, I'm glad everybody's doing well. And again, it's funny, we kind of joke around about, the commute. You coming down and other members of our staff coming in from different parts, literally all points
Hello and welcome back to Live Impact News. For those of you who have stuck around, thank you so much. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. We had a crash here in the studio. Our technology straight up went down on us. Now, Sarah, there's been a lot of theories floating around here. We had Craig in here for 41 consecutive minutes. The man might have just been too on fire with his forecast and it shut everything down. That is one theory. The other theory is that we had so many people who wanted to hear about the snowy, wintry mix, the weather impact alert, the snow throughout Richmond, the rain here in Virginia Beach and Norfolk. So many people were so excited that sort of it messed up the equilibrium. The other thing is maybe that technology just kind of fails sometimes, and that's how that goes. What do we think, A, B, or C?
I'm going to go with definitely C.
Yeah, it's always C.
It's been a while since we've had something like that happen. So I think it's trying to keep us on our toes. So
it is keeping us on our toes. We are officially on our toes. Our system went down, but guess what? The most important thing is that our system is back up. And let's just say, what a forecast from Craig Moeller this morning. He sat with us for, again, nearly an hour. He took us through every single step of the weather impact alert that we're experiencing and everything that's to come. We know that very early on this morning, there was, in fact, snow in Williamsburg, up in that part of our viewing area. There was, Janet Roach told us she saw snow in her backyard in Newport News. And of course, we heard from Taylor Stephenson as she drove around Virginia Beach not long ago, and we saw very rainy, very wet, the roads very slick, cold outside as well in the Virginia Beach and Norfolk areas. So we have indeed, our meteorologists have been talking about this all week. It has come to fruition today. And then if you go all the way up to Richmond and DC, you see real snowfall. I mean, we're going to show you Richmond right here. It looks, based on this image, like the snow maybe has stopped falling, but you see the steady coat of snow over the ceiling of that building, over the ground in front of that building out in Richmond, Virginia. Throughout the morning, there's been a real steady snowfall on this live feed in particular. And for a steady snowfall that continues, let's go to Washington, D.C. now, a picturesque shot of the White House with the Washington Monument behind it, and a snowfall that remains steady up north in Washington, D.C. I mean, it is really coming down still in our nation's capital. You see the ceiling of the White House, the lawn in front of the Washington Monument completely covered in snow. The leafless trees that have started to gather some snow on their branches. So, throughout Richmond and Washington, D.C., a real snowfall. Down into Williamsburg and Newport News, early snow this morning. And then as you move closer to the coast and more of that sort of coastal region with Norfolk and Virginia Beach, it turns into a wintry mix and then into rain. But in our viewing area, the snowy portion has cleared out for the most part as we sit at 10:56 a.m. A lot of what we talked about here, we can show you an image of Taylor Stephenson early this morning in her in our weather interceptor vehicle, and you can see the snow on the sides of the roads. And this, I believe, was in Gloucester. Sarah, I believe that we got this footage from earlier today. Gloucester, Virginia. You see the snow on the sides of the roads. But again, this is early this morning. We are not seeing any sort of snowfall now in our viewing area as of our last update, or nothing consistent at least as of our last update. So Okay, so we've seen DC, we've seen Richmond, we see footage from earlier. Perhaps we can go out to our oceanfront cam, or maybe even some of our Norfolk cams. While Sarah Calloway sits that up, we'll talk through a little bit more of what we did in studio before our system went down. Again, we heard from Janet Roach, who this morning was driving into work. She started out in Newport News, and as she drove towards Norfolk, where our station is, things sort of turned in terms of precipitation. See, she had seen that wintry mix, that snow, up in the Newport News area as she got closer to Norfolk. At one point, it wasn't raining, it was just cold, and then it started raining in the Norfolk area. We've got the Virginia Beach oceanfront up for you. You see an immense amount of cloud coverage still out at the oceanfront. You can see some droplets of rain still on our camera lens here. At this shot out at the oceanfront. This is right out by the Dairy Queen near 16th Street at the Virginia Beach oceanfront. No lack of vigorous activity from the waves out there. You see the whitecaps as they sort of crash onto the shore. Certainly no people that we have seen yet out on our oceanfront cam. Taylor Stephenson told us as she drove towards the oceanfront, not exactly a beach day out there in Virginia Beach. And why don't we go to Taylor Stephenson's Weather Interceptor cam right now. This is live driving around the oceanfront area. Taylor Stephenson, our meteorologist, she'll be on the noon show today, and yet as we speak, she is out in the elements getting footage for us and getting live looks for us. So this is live.
This is downtown Norfolk.
This is downtown Norfolk. Okay, she's moved on from the oceanfront, which again makes sense based on what we just said. She'll be hosting not hosting our noon show, but she'll be doing the forecast in the noon show on 13 News Now. So this is downtown Norfolk. This is not far from where we are right now. And as you can see, cloudy, overcast, the windshield wipers still on. We had another Craig Moeller appearance. He just flashed through the studio. It was just a shooting star, and we want to thank him again for such a fantastic forecast this morning. Okay, so that's your look at downtown Norfolk. So we are going to keep an eye on this all day, as you know. At noon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, our live stream at 1 p.m. The rest of our live stream here will be dipping in and out of weather coverage. We'll be bringing you all the updates you need on this weather impact alert day, and the most important thing is to be safe out there. Be safe on the roads. Make sure you have plenty of space between you and the cars in front of you. Those windshield wipers on, and it's not just there's some ponding on the sides of the road. Tires can kick that up into your windshield, so just be careful as we progress through the day and into Friday night. And it is, in fact, a Friday. We are on the eve of the weekend here. And what we're going to do is start to explore some of the other newsworthy pieces of content that we have for you today. And that is actually going to start with one of our Virginia senators, Tim Kaine, holding his press availability late yesterday, touching on a number of topics, questions and answers, and also speaking on some issues that he wants to that he feels is especially important to convey to Virginians early in his press availability. Sarah Calloway is telling me we just need 1 minute to load that up for you. So while we do,
sorry, it's been a day with technology, so it's going to take me just a little bit to load that in.
No problem. Take your time, Sarah. We still have an hour to go here in our live stream. We've got plenty of time to get all the video ready that you need. Of course, we're monitoring live events as we speak as well. We have the Brian Walshe trial ongoing in Massachusetts. We have reports from ABC News about a massive deal in the entertainment space. Netflix set to buy Warner Brothers in a deal valued at $83 billion. That would be just a massive sale in the world of entertainment. Warner Brothers, of course, film, television, HBO, all included in that deal, and Netflix, one of the streaming giants that we have here, is sort of a new media empire, if you will, now looking to acquire Warner Brothers. So no shortage of headlines to get to, no shortage of stories to explore, but for now, we want to listen in to one of our Virginia senators, Tim Kaine, as he gave a Virginia press availability yesterday. Let's throw it to the senator.
Okay, Senator, whenever you're ready. Hey, everybody. Thanks for signing on. We're in the middle of votes, as we often are at midday, but I just want to raise a couple of issues and then glad to tackle your questions. First is I introduced a bill earlier this week with Congressman Eugene Vindman called the Digital Skills for Today's Workforce Act, which is a bill that we hope to get included in the reauthorization of the WIOA bill, the nation's primary workforce bill that we reauthorize every few years. WIOA funding can be used in a lot of ways, but WIOA funding is not currently eligible for use in what we call digital skills training courses, things like helping people do spreadsheets, emails, all kinds of other things that you need to succeed in virtually any job in the country today, and that they will increasingly be skills that are necessary in the future. And often people who are have struggled to find meaningful work or are in lower income communities are really at a deficit in these skills. And so this Digital Skills Act would allow WIOA funds to be used for digital skills programs and would also establish some competitive grants for those who are developing innovative ways to train the workforce of today and tomorrow in digital skills. Very excited to put that bill in. Congressman Vindman is leading on the House side. And again, our hope is likely not this calendar year, but next year, when we do the WIOA reauthorization, we introduce this bill now, and then we will try to include it as part of that WIOA reauthorization package. Second, introduced a bill, I believe, yesterday or today with Michael Bennett, and it's the reintroduction of a bill called Medicare X. And it is our proposal to establish a public nonprofit health insurance product that Americans could purchase on the exchange, adding competition, adding choice, and adding affordability for people who really struggle to find affordable health insurance. The idea would be we would direct the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, CMS, to devise an insurance policy that would cover the Obamacare essential health benefits, and then to charge a premium for that policy that would cover the costs of medical care for those who purchase that policy. The idea is that it would be cost neutral. But because CMS already exists in every zip code in the country, doesn't have to pay fancy salaries to executives, doesn't have to return a profit to shareholders, doesn't have to advertise on TV or send out marketing materials to scoop some other insurance company. We believe that a Medicare X premium would be very affordable, a very affordable option, and people could purchase it on the exchange. And however we land on the premium subsidy question, and we're working on that now, you would also be able to use a premium subsidy if you qualify to bring down the Medicare X premium even more. So we think it's kind of a next step forward that needs to happen to give people more choice and more affordability. And Michael and I give him a lot of credit. We've worked very carefully on this the last few years, and he's done a really good job. And I've appreciated being able to partner with him on this. We're excited about it as an opportunity. We think it especially would create some huge opportunities for self-employed and small business folks who currently have a difficult time accessing health insurance because of the size of their operations are too small. And finally, together with Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, Senator Chuck Schumer, and Adam Schiff, I've introduced for the second time a war powers resolution clarifying we shouldn't be at war with Venezuela without a vote of Congress. If the president thinks we should do a land invasion of Venezuela, or if my Republican colleagues think we should do one, then they should bring an authorization for that military force so that we can debate it in view of the American public. We've got Virginians who are connected to the Carrier Strike Group that are now in the AOR in the region, amassing assets around Venezuela. The president at the cabinet meeting 2 days ago said the land invasion would start soon. Let me be clear, there is no legal rationale or justification for an invasion of Venezuela without congressional approval. The Constitution is very clear on this. Congress declares war, and then the administration executes on the war once declared. But there is only a limited ability for a president to initiate war without Congress. Now, this president seems not to care about the Constitution. The strikes of boats in the Caribbean and the Pacific, in my view, are illegal. And they are now also being carried out in ways where the illegality is being compounded. The news that broke this week that 2 survivors of the first strike on September 2 were massacred in the water as they clung to, shipwreckage. That is a direct violation of international laws of war, and more to the point, it's a direct violation of the Department of Defense's own war manual. And so this whole military endeavor in the Caribbean and the Pacific, and potentially against Venezuela, lacks a legal basis and is actually being implemented in ways that is causing additional legal problems, including potential serious liability for troops who are carrying out illegal orders. President Trump doesn't like the fact that some of my colleagues who've served in the military put on the record the notion that folks shouldn't follow illegal orders. This is not a theoretical question. The Wall Street Journal broke the news last night that the head of Southcom, a very, very decorated, long-serving 3-star admiral, Admiral Halsey, was forced to retire prematurely by Secretary Hegseth because of issues that he raised and concerns that he raised about the legality of these strikes killing civilians on the high seas. And so before we kill more civilians or invade another country in a region of the world that has seen a lot of U.S. invasions over its history, often to the detriment of relationships between nations in the Americas, before we double down on a strategy that I think is a dangerous strategy, that I think is a failed strategy, and that I believe to be an illegal strategy, let's at least debate it in Congress. And if we have that debate and a majority of the houses believe that a war is necessary, well, I'll be disappointed, because I don't think forever wars in the Americas are a good idea. But at least we will have had the debate. And I've been on the losing side of a vote, and I've been on the losing side of votes before. That's one thing. But we should not allow this president or any president to take the nation to war without a debate and vote of Congress. That's what the Constitution commands, and that commandment is in there for a reason. And we ought to follow the Constitution. We take an oath to do so. With that, I'm glad to open it up and take your questions.
First, we'll go to Tom from WTTG.
Senator, this is Tom Fitzgerald from Fox 5. Thank you for talking to us this morning.
You bet, Tom.
Senator, I have to ask you about some news this morning. There are reports that the FBI has finally made an arrest in the DNC and RNC pipe bomber case from January 6, 2021. There are also some reports that this individual may be from Virginia. I would like to ask you, number one, your reaction to this news, and if this individual is one of the insurrectionists who were arrested and charged and then pardoned, how would this complicate this case moving forward?
Well, Tom, boy, the second question you asked me is not one I contemplated. My first reaction when I heard the news a little bit ago was, I'm glad the FBI finally made that arrest. That was a very troubling instance. As you recall, the vice president was there at the DNC headquarters. The Speaker Pelosi, passed by the site where the bomb had been planted in her motorcade. Thank God no one was injured in these instances, but it could have been very, very serious. And the fact that there hadn't been an arrest made for 5 years on this was puzzling to many. So all I know is that an arrest has been made, and I've seen the name of an individual, purportedly a 30-year-old from the Woodbridge area, but I know nothing more about it. And I don't know whether this was somebody who would have been arrested and then pardoned. And I'd have to go back and read the president's outrageous and unconscionable pardon order. The January 6th rioters and attackers should never have been pardoned, and no reasonably minded president would have ever done so. But I just don't know whether this individual would be covered by such a pardon. What was he arrested? Was he convicted of some other offense? Would that pardon cover this as well? I just don't know the answer to that. But I am glad that law enforcement finally has made an arrest in this case.
All right, so that was Senator Tim Kaine coincidentally answering a question about the arrest of a man in the case of the pipe bombs that were placed outside the offices of the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Committee, and Republican National Committee on January 5th, 2021, one day before the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Now, the arrest that was made in that case, this was the next story we were going to cover here on Live Impact News. The arrest Brian Cole Jr. from Woodbridge, Virginia, is the suspect in this case who was arrested. That announcement was made in a press conference yesterday by Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. We have portions of the question and answer from that press conference that we actually are going to play for you. But first, we have sound from a neighbor of Brian Cole Jr., I believe, an alleged neighbor of Brian Cole Jr., who spoke out after hearing this news. Let's listen in on that stop first. What you see here on your screen, I will mention video of those pipe bombs being placed in their respective positions that we just told you about. But for now, let's go to the soundbite from a neighbor in Brian Cole Jr.'s neighborhood. The man arrested, charged, and alleged to have placed those pipe bombs outside of the DNC and RNC on January 5th, 2021.
Around 8:30, I heard a siren, which is not abnormal to hear from here, but then I heard what sounded like a voice over a loudspeaker. So I came outside to just hear what I could hear, saw flashing lights over there, and so I moved over to in between these houses and could see that there were two green Humvee-style looking vehicles out in front of the house over here with a bunch of soldier-looking guys, maybe SWAT team, people in camouflage with automatic rifles aimed at the house. And on the loudspeaker, they said, "This is the FBI. We have a federal search warrant. Please, everyone in such and such address, come out of the house with your hands up and not carrying anything in your hands." And I think they had to say it a couple of times. And then I saw what I believe was a woman come out of the house, but they didn't seem to take her into custody. And then a little while later, another, I think, woman came out of the house, but they didn't seem to take her into custody either. And then after that, they prepared to go into the house, and they all had their rifles at the ready. And then they moved into the house. And they were in there for quite some time. And after a while, I was getting cold, honestly. I had to come back in and get a coat on, so I came back and then I watched the rest of it. But that was really all the action.
Welcome back to the studio, where you can only imagine what it would be like to be in a regular neighborhood in Woodbridge, Virginia, and all of a sudden there is that level of law enforcement looking for a suspect of a crime such as this, of placing a pipe bomb outside of the RNC and the DNC. Now, Brian Cole Jr. expected in D.C. federal court on Friday to face federal charges. Those FBI officials and the Attorney General both announcing at the podium yesterday. Now, what we're showing you here, this is footage from the neighborhood. This is where that arrest happened that neighbor was speaking about. And you can certainly see, I mean, in the distance there are enforcement officers or potential, at least people who are conducting this arrest, that are in full sort of almost like hazmat-looking suits, like head-to-toe white suits that we saw in that previous shot. You can see the level of activity, multiple trucks, and this is just a cul-de-sac in Woodbridge, Virginia. And so obviously you could tell from that neighbor's description how shocking it was to see what he saw yesterday morning, as Brian Cole Jr. was arrested and is now accused of building and planting those pipe bombs back on January 5th, 2021. Again, we want to continue to mention that one day before the insurrection at the Capitol that occurred on January 6th. Now let's listen to the press conference yesterday, or a portion of the press conference yesterday, with Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel.
Warrants are still being executed, many charges potentially to come, so just keep that in mind when asking your questions.
Jake, Fox News. So you said it had been nearly 5 years, we all know that, and that you said there have been no new evidence. So can you say anything about the evidence that actually did lead to this arrest? And then secondarily, you're talking about additional charges possibly. Can you say what those you might be considering, or terrorism charges, or what?
We can't discuss new charges, of course, yet, ongoing. But what I will say is this is why this was so incredibly important, more than any other case, is this is in our nation's capital where this happened. And now, thanks to the FBI, we know that this defendant was living just miles away from here in Virginia. So as to the evidence in the case, I'm going to let Director Patel take that, but it's still very active and very ongoing.
Thank you, General. And as I stated earlier, and as the General has already reiterated, our job is to provide full accountability in the court of law with Judge Pirro's team. And in order to do that, we have to preserve the chain of custody and evidentiary value. What I will say generally is that when you go through 3 million lines of information, y'all can think about the amount of cell phone data that has to be ingested and triangulated and dumped and received. You also have to think of just sheer human ingenuity. We brought in a team of experts who are the best at what they do in their specific fields to reevaluate that evidence, to dive back in, and to not come back with a no for an answer until they had found the suspect. And when you develop evidence, you get a search warrant. And when you get a search warrant, you get an address. And when you get an address, you hit the house. And that's what we did.
Sadie, Wall Street Journal.
Hi there. So what can you tell us about this person's motivations and whether they were driven by politics or for any other reason why?
Right now it's ongoing. Again, we just executed the search warrant early this morning. It's ongoing. But America's safer, DC's safer because he's in custody.
Mary Margaret, Daily Wire.
Thank you so much. So any theory on why Kamala Harris has never mentioned coming within 20 feet of being assassinated, and any news on why her Secret Service team took so long to find this bomb at the DNC?
No, but what I will tell you is that evidence has been sitting there collecting dust. This wasn't a new tip. It wasn't some new evidence. It was the hard work of President Trump's administration, Deputy Director Bongino and Director Patel. I watched them from day one come in here and say, we are going to solve this crime. And they did, working hand in hand with U.S. Attorney Pirro and all of our great attorneys.
Pierre, ABC.
General Bondi, Director Patel, or Deputy Director Bongino, can you describe, was there a particular moment where the evidence is coming in and it's starting to look like progress is being made? What was the moment that you knew that you were on the road to solving the case?
Dan, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I was smiling at you because I certainly remember the moment. Darren remembers it too. He said, "Are you sitting down?" Called me on the phone. I said, "Oh boy, why? Is this bad news?" And he said, "I think we got him." What exactly that tip was, we're going to have to pass on that for right now while obviously we're in the prologue of a long book. This is just the beginning. This is not the end of the investigation, as you all well know, having reported on these for a long time. There's interviews to be conducted. The search warrant processing scene is not even done. So we're at the early stages, so that's the only reason I hesitate to tell you what the exact tip was. But yes, that was absolutely the moment, and it was due to the diligent and incredible work of a team in the Washington field office that came in and just scoured through this over and over and over and over again.
In general, was it forensic? Was it a phone call? Was it something about a vehicle?
We'll just leave it generally forensic evidence. Yeah, it's fair enough to say.
Excuse me, how long ago that was?
I'd rather not say because of the ongoing interview process, and I don't want to. Yeah, of course.
I just want to add something to tell you how thorough this team was. That moment that was kind of like the aha moment, that wasn't the end. This team continued to work and work and work to get every bit of evidence that we could get. We didn't stop at that moment, and that's a testament to the fact that the team wanted every possible piece of evidence that they could gather.
One more?
One more, Kelly O'Donnell, NBC.
Thank you so much. Have you recovered the notable sneakers? Have you done surveillance of this suspect from that aha moment to when you exercised the search warrants today? And obviously this happened on January 5th into January 6th. How should the public look at this case separate from all of the cases related to what transpired on January 6th and the president's subsequent pardons?
I'm going to let Director Patel take the evidence part. We have to be careful. Again, you've asked very good investigative questions, but this is ongoing, very active. But America should feel safer today. We say a pipe bomb. These are bombs. These were live, active bombs that were placed in Washington, D.C. Director.
Thank you. This shows you how much detail you and the American public have paid attention to this case. Of course, we analyzed everything that you're seeing on this poster board and information that you will see through the formal charging process and court process. But we want to let that evidence speak for itself because, again, we do not want to disrupt the accountability that we owe the American public. Yes, you heard about the cell phone tower data. Yes, you heard about, of course, we surveil individuals who we think we're going to blow up American citizens. But how and when we do it and why we do it is not something we're ever going to reveal unless the Department of Justice deems it fit at trial. So we appreciate your attention to detail and your hardcore investigative work, but you can just imagine some of those same skills were being utilized by this FBI, this Department of Justice, our partners, the ATF, and everybody across the board. And this is an interagency win for the American people.
Radar before.
How
Thank you all. And one more thing, this is the best birthday present I think Deputy Director Bongino could ask for today. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it. The sort of final portion of that press conference with Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. Now, we've got a live shot up right next to me here, as you can see. That is current, as we speak, a shot outside of a federal courthouse building in Washington, D.C., outside the hearing for the suspect. We told you just before we went to that press conference that Brian Cole Jr., the suspect, is expected in D.C. federal court on Friday to face federal charges. That's a live shot just outside of that hearing. So if anyone emerges, we'll go back live to that shot. But again, a gentleman from Woodbridge, Virginia, Brian Cole Jr., arrested and accused and federal charges announced for building and planting pipe bombs from that incident on January 5th of 2021. That's a story that we will be keeping an eye on here on Live Impact and on 13 News Now for as long as it continues to develop. Now, you also seeing that courthouse, you got a brief look at the weather in Washington, D.C. The weather in Washington, D.C. remains quite snowy, if you will. Let's start, though, here locally. Let's take a look around Hampton Roads at some of the different weather that we're experiencing here. On the top of your screen, that is Town Center in Virginia Beach. You can barely make it out because the amount of precipitation that is on the camera lens there. You can barely see Town Center because it appears to be quite rainy out there still, based at least on the accumulation of moisture on our camera lens. And you see just a collection of droplets there. So you can't exactly tell what's going on in the surrounding area, but what you see on the lens at least gives you an idea. You certainly can tell gray and cloudy out in Virginia Beach, and that remains true at the Norfolk Botanical Garden, which is on the bottom of your screen right next to me. One of our favorite spots here at 13 News Now, of course, with an incredible holiday lights display at Norfolk Botanical Garden, but none of that the focus right now, as once again, it is just cloudy and rainy and really overcast out there. You heard Craig Moeller talk about how clouds sort of form a blanket over us. Well, they also just have completely distorted the sunlight. None of that peeking through in any of our cameras around Hampton Roads. And just look, you can tell how damp it is. Looking at the mulch, looking at the walkways, you can tell that it doesn't look like there's any rain falling right now, at least not any heavy rain, but you can tell that there certainly has been throughout the morning. A little bit of wildlife flying through. We've got some birds there. You know, I kind of like the snowman in the back that is tipping his cap and toughing it out in the rain, waiting for things to clear out so that the light show can get back into action. But for now, just rainy. You can tell just looking at the mulch is kind of packed in from all the rain. You can tell just from looking at this image, and of course wet throughout the walkways. Now, okay, let's go to Newport News now, and really it's more of the same. You know, we wish that we could pull up one of these shots and it would just be a sunny day out in Hampton Roads, but that's simply not the case. It remains Newport News. We know that there was snowfall early this morning. But for now, it is quite cloudy. And Sarah, if you could take that full, and Janet Roach, you can absolutely sit down. Speaking of Newport News, we're being joined by Janet Roach here. Perfect timing, Janet. We just pulled up an image out in Newport News. And City Center, it is cloudy, gray out in City Center. You see the Christmas tree out in sort of the middle there, standing tall, standing strong. Mm-hmm. But the weather challenging people to stand tall outside today. However, Janet, you did make your way from Newport News all the way to Norfolk. We were talking a little bit before our system crashed with Craig Moeller.
I know.
Craig Moeller was doing most of the talking, but
He did.
we were talking a
Crashed
little
the
bit.
system.
He crashed the system. That is the conspiracy here. Craig Moeller crashed our system on this weather impact alert
We're
day.
just gonna blame it on him.
Luckily, he's not here to defend himself. Can you walk us through this again, Janet? You walk out the door to head to work today, and just tell us what you saw as kind of your journey.
Yeah, well, our team called it.
Mhm.
It was exactly what they said it would be. You
Mhm.
know, they said that, more so on the south side, it would be rain and some more of a wintry mix and snow on the peninsula. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, it was snowing. When I woke up this morning, it was coming down pretty heavily.
Mhm.
Not enough to completely cover the grass. I think about that because when I was a kid, as soon as the snow covered the grass, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Now I know I'm not going to go to school.
That's the sign you're looking for.
That was the sign. So it did not, but it was covering the windshield. It was that slushy, not the fluffy stuff.
That
the very
wintry mix.
Yeah, very slushy kind of snow, that I guess when it hardens up a little bit, you can make a really good snowball. And so, but right when I got ready to leave, it stopped. So I was happy to see that. And the roads were clear. Roads completely clear. And that actually is the biggest thing.
That's the most important
That's
thing.
the most important thing. And so I was glad that it had stopped. I had the hat, the gloves, and all that on. Usually I don't have to touch that stuff until January.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
what
thinking
Craig's
it's single
talking about.
digits. It's December single digits.
Yeah.
And this is going on. It's not even winter yet.
I know.
Winter what? December 20th? I know it's meteorological winter. but-
There's multiple different
Right.
winters as
Right.
we've learned from our weather team. You're
Uh-huh.
spooking me a little bit because you're exactly right. I mean, it is December 5th and we've got a weather impact alert day with snow in our area.
Yeah.
And every day in December, I think, has been below average in terms of temperatures.
Oh gosh.
I know.
Okay. I'm not team snow. I'm sorry. I know.
I'm with you.
I'm not team snow. I do like it to snow at least once.
Mhm.
Give the kids an opportunity to go out and play
Right.
a little bit, and then just let it melt, and then let's move on.
And some of it is, as we mentioned,
Mhm.
the nature of, if we were able to just kind of hang out in the snow and frolic, then I'm all for it.
Then I'm all for it. Then it
But,
will be fun.
We
Yeah.
got stuff to do. We hope to
If I have to
inform the
drive,
people. Yeah,
if I have
exactly.
to drive to work in the snow, which we do.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I used to live in Milwaukee, and so it
Right.
would always start snowing in October.
Yeah.
In Milwaukee, and so I really got a lot of experience of driving in the snow, and I got pretty good. But ice, no.
Mhm.
There's just no debate there.
Mm-mm.
I don't think anybody really can drive well in ice. People think they can, but they can't.
Yeah.
That's where we get all that terrible footage from when it starts snowing and icing in the Midwest.
Right.
But it wasn't a bad commute this morning. Traffic was light for one.
Mhm.
That was always good. And the roads were clear, and so there was nothing falling from the sky for most of my commute. It was when I got over into the south side through the Monitor Merrimack Tunnel, and I'm like, gosh, it's raining and it's getting heavier. So it was rain. I always get concerned when I get to the Western Freeway Bridge because that is not a place you want to be in bad weather.
Right.
I've seen a lot of slip and slide on that bridge. But it was fine. It was still raining. And then, so it just rained. I don't know if it's still raining right now over here in Norfolk.
In Norfolk, let's see. We
Uh-huh.
had our shot up from Taylor Stephenson not too long ago. It looks like, for the most part, no rain falling from the skies,
Mhm.
but still very just kind of wet and cloudy.
Yeah,
Can
definitely
we
cloudy.
What do you think, Sarah? Can we do Nauticus Cam maybe and see what we're looking at in Norfolk here in terms of
This
actual
is
rain?
Norfolk looking at Portsmouth right now, but let me pull up that camera.
Okay, and that works. But okay, so here we go. This is Nauticus, and I don't.
Yeah, you
see
can't
a whole
tell.
lot
I mean,
of-
it
right.
might, light
drizzle.
rain, maybe a little drizzle out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So it's not bad. And now the temperature in my car coming over said 41. And
Okay.
I thought that was pretty good. And of course, my mind was in Charlottesville because
Right.
I'm thinking I knew that my daughter had to work, and I knew that it was really going to snow in Charlottesville. She has a steep drive into like where her parking is. That's hard to get up, even on a sunny day.
Right. Right. Even if it's perfect outside, it's kind of a dangerous hill.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I talked to her, I'm like, Gab, you got to be careful. You might need to, don't think, because she works at this little sub shop and she had to open it. I said, don't think you have to. Safety is number one. And I have to be there. But anyway, she got there. And then to my dismay, I said, well, what's the temperature there? I'm thinking it's 41. I'm looking at the 41 in my car.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, so maybe it's 35, maybe. It was 28.
Oof.
In Charlottesville, and it was still coming down.
Degrees over there at UVA.
Yeah, and so but she got to work, and I got to work, and we're good.
Everybody's good. Everybody's safe. It's like you appreciate the dedication that she has to the job.
Yeah.
But then you also are like, well, maybe you can be a little less dedicated if it's dangerous on that hill.
No, I know.
Now, what I want to know is, what is her reaction to sort of your pushback when you call her and it's dangerous outside? Is it more of a, oh, Mom, I know, or is it more of a, thanks, Mom, that's good advice? What kind of reaction?
It's kind of middle of the road between those two.
Okay.
It's a dead in the center. There are times when she's like, I know, Mom. I get that. And then she's like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. You got me nervous about this driveway. Then I think, well, maybe I don't want to freak her out. But yeah, but I might do too much sometimes,
I think that if you're not doing, moms are supposed to do too much, right?
I know, and I do too much. And both of my kids are like, oh, God, Ma. But they listen.
Okay,
I think that even in their frustration, eventually they come back around.
Right. Oh, 100%.
And it sticks, because they'll say something every now and then that I'll be like, okay, yeah, they were listening.
Well, and because when we were in their position, eventually came back around and understood where you get the perspective. If I'm even driving to 7-Eleven and it's after sunset, my mom is like, well, please don't. Be careful out there.
And see, I like your mom. I've never met her, but yeah.
We're going to make that happen.
And you're a lot older than my kids. I shouldn't.
Well, hold on now.
Older.
Don't do me like that.
I'm sorry.
Live on Impact News? Oh, my goodness.
You are older than my kids.
Thank you.
That's pretty
very
safe
kind
to
of you to say. And it's weird because she feels like she knows you because she watches you every day.
Oh, okay.
And so it'll be there you go. You actually may have just waved at her. She does tune into Live Impact every once in a while. So Gab is okay. Gab is at work. She's fine. I need to know about Snoopy. What is Snoopy's reaction on a snowy day? The dog
kind of mid when it comes to snow. it doesn't freak him out. He goes out. I think if I could get into his brain, I think he would be like, oh, it's snowing. Okay. I guess I'm going to get wet, but that's okay. So he doesn't like frolic around like prance.
Yeah.
You know how some dogs like prance.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't do that, but he tolerates it.
It's all efficiency for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He owns the house, and so he lets us know that. And
You guys are tenants.
We are tenants in
Snoopy.
his home. We are tenants in his home. Absolutely.
That's right. Snoopy runs the household. He demands food.
He is so demanding.
Yes.
He's sweet.
Right.
But he communicates more than any dog that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why don't you just speak?
Right.
Okay, why don't you just go ahead and talk? Because he will look you, and his eyes get bright, and he look, and if you don't respond, he's doing this.
Yeah.
Like, get up. Get up. You know what I want, And so I'll get up sometimes and I'll say, okay, show me what you want.
Right. And he does it.
And he will direct me.
Yeah.
He will direct me to whatever it is.
Snoopy said, forget this snow. I'm ready for breakfast. I don't know what all the hubbub is about when the food is inside.
Yeah.
Listen, I can relate,
he's
Snoopy.
Hilarious.
I can relate.
A Boglin Terrier. Half Beagle, half Boston Terrier.
That's right.
That's what he is.
I'm wondering, too, can you give us a sense or give the viewers a sense of what it's like in the newsroom on a day like this when it's kind of an all hands on deck, everybody's doing everything they can to make sure viewers are safe and informed. it's got a little bit of a different
feel. Yeah, I mean, you can feel it's a little bit more intense. You know, folks are walking around with purpose, you know, and we have purpose all the time, but it's even more direct. And then you see, we're always good about little things of support, like you might see an extra box of donuts or like those hand warmers that are out there.
Yeah.
A big old box of hand warmers for the producers and the reporters who are out in the field to try to stay warm, and then making sure that everybody has the right gear. You know, get your Channel 13, you know, sweatshirts and whatnot. And so, yeah, it's always kind of a community feel, you know, kind of like a holiday, but not a holiday.
Right. You come together at those times when you really sort of need to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
I saw those hand warmers. You know what my first thought was? Oh, Janet needs to bring some of those into the studio.
Yes.
Because when we sit down at that anchor desk, it is chilly.
Yes. And, you know, we did have an anchor once who did that, who brought the hand warmers.
I had the hand warmers in the studio.
In the studio. So I might have to start doing that and, like, sit on them or something.
Yeah. Listen, now that we got the resources, we're going to get warmed up for that 4 p.m. show.
Okay.
And that is where you can see Janet Roach next, 4 p.m. Janet, is there anything else that you would like to express on this weather
Just
impact
to tell
day?
people to be safe. You know, don't get too comfortable. And that's something I tell my kids, you know, just when you think I got this, you don't got this, you know? So just be very, very safe out there and be respectful and mindful of other people and other drivers. Yeah.
100%. I couldn't agree more, because it's not just your safety, it's everyone else on the road safety that you play a part in. And, you know, you talked about how kind of within our little ecosystem here, on big days like this, we'll all sort of come together, whether it's a big weather day or news elsewhere. We kind of band together to make sure that everybody is good to go. And you can think of that on the roads, right? Everybody is out there together, and you're all responsible for each other's safety as much as your own.
Yeah, you really are. And people think, well, I'm kind of anonymous in my car, so I can be mean. But you just never know. I mean, you know, someone just like yourself could be in the car next to you.
Right.
You know, so think about it that way.
Absolutely, 100%. Awesome. Janet, thank you so much for joining us on the Weather Impact Alert Day. We'll see Janet a lot more on Live Impact News. This isn't her first appearance, but we will be seeing her quite a bit on this platform. I
figure all this out.
That's right.
You do a great job, Connor.
Janet, thank you so much.
You do.
I appreciate that. Learned it all from you, Janet. Sitting up there on that 4 p.m. desk, just, you know, trying to keep up. Okay. Let's do a quick reset here in the studio. 11:39 a.m. Again, it's December 5th. Janet Roach mentioned it. It is early December, and we are dealing with this kind of weather. And what a treat today. We had Craig Moeller on for 40 minutes. Our general manager, Brian Gregory, stopped by to give us his sort of journey this morning through the weather. And then, of course, Janet Roach, our main anchor here at 13 News Now, spending some time with us to tell us about her commute. My co-anchor at 4 o'clock p.m., and, you know, genuinely a mentor in learning how to, you know, kind of be successful in this industry, or as successful as I can, or as we can. So really a great day so far. We've got about 20 minutes left in this stream. And Sarah Calloway, let's do a check-in with you. How are you doing over there in the midst of what has been quite a hectic day? We also had a system crash that I didn't mention. We were gone for like 10 minutes.
I'm good. All things. No, I'm great. Lots going on, lots of weather. Yeah.
Okay.
A few different things.
And you're saying you've got something unique for us here. Do we want to? Well, here's what we can do. Let's do a little bit of behind the scenes, kind of. You guys will get to see a little bit of the negotiation of what we do. The Brian Walshe trial has gone live once again. It is back up in Massachusetts. It's something we've been following. Brian Walshe, accused of killing and dismembering his wife in 2023. There was an update. Day 4 of this trial in Massachusetts, jurors heard testimony from a man that Anna Walshe, the wife of Brian Walshe, or the former wife of Brian Walshe, was having an affair with before she went missing. So a man gave testimony who Anna Walshe was allegedly having an affair with before she went missing. That is the update from day 4 of this trial in Massachusetts. Can we listen in very briefly to the Brian Walshe trial? We'll reset here, and then we'll come back out to this. Can we do that? I know that we still kind of have to get that set up, but I just want to we'll do a brief check-in in Massachusetts, and then we'll come back out to the Live Impact News studio, and we'll kind of wrap things with a few more headlines of the day and one more look at some of our cameras around the 757. So let's do that very quickly here.
Now we're on Exhibit 161. Now we're on a different date. We're on the next date. December 27th of 2022. I'm going to refer you to record number 316, page 22. You recognize that entry on Exhibit 161?
What was the page number, sir? Sorry, I put the 168 down.
That's fine. Page 22, record number 316.
Okay.
You see that?
I do.
It occurred at 6:57:46 a.m., correct?
Yes.
That's that reference you were asked on direct examination yesterday, that reference to all my exes, correct?
Yes.
And then on the same day, and now we're looking at Exhibit 168, the call log. We're going to refer you to page 9 and ask you to look at record 104. They begin a series of phone calls, 3 phone calls, 10 minutes and 43 seconds, 1 minute and 1 second, a third one, 26 minutes and 21 seconds, all originating from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe.
Okay, guys, we apologize for the quick pop in and pop out. We want to update you on something, a unique story of sort of enormous interest here in the sporting world, and that crosses over into political and cultural worlds and really touches on everything you could imagine. That's the FIFA World Cup. It's being held in the United States, Canada, and Mexico next summer. The World Cup draw is being announced today, and President Donald Trump has just arrived on the red carpet at the World Cup draw. This is an event that will be happening later today. They'll announce the groupings of all the different teams, and President Trump has arrived. Of course, again, that tournament, one of the most significant sporting events in the world, will be taking place right here in the United States. So we just wanted to pop on and give that update very quickly. We apologize for sort of the quick right turns here. We're going to get right back out to the Brian Walshe trial in Massachusetts. We just didn't want to let that moment pass without giving a very brief update. Let's go back out to Massachusetts right now.
And it appears that the phone assigned to Anna Walshe texts, when can they have the thing signed? Do you see that?
I do, sir.
And immediately following that, in the call log, Exhibit 168, is a phone call that lasts 6 minutes from the phones assigned to Anna Walshe and Brian Walshe. And it originated from Anna Walsh's phone, didn't it not?
I'm just checking the call log now, sir.
You see that?
I see the text, but I don't see the specific call you were referring to in the call log, sir.
Okay. Let me try to give you page 8, record number 96, time stamped at 11:05:17 a.m.
Page 8, 98 on this one has a different time and date, sir.
All right, what is it? Just tell the jury what it is.
This one is December 27, 2022, 10:41 a.m. That's number 98.
Okay.
This one.
And it lasts for 23 minutes, 10 seconds.
Yes.
Go on down to now, page 8, record number 96 on the same exhibit, 11:05:17 a.m. A phone call that lasts 6 minutes and 54 seconds.
Correct.
Now, we're going to jump down a little bit, and at Exhibit 169, the text messages, on page 8, a text message timestamped at 6:36:44, there's a text that reads, "Did they sign?"
Yes, I see that.
And then you see a text following that, the very next text, timestamped at 6:39 p.m. in Exhibit 169, And it looks like it originates from the phone assigned to Anna Walshe. And she says, I emailed Stephen to see if he helped with the paperwork, correct?
Yes.
And then as we go through these text messages, the next text message is the phone assigned to Brian Walshe. She said they signed. That's the text message.
Yes.
Then the same phone texts immediately thereafter, let's get this deal done.
That's correct.
And then there's a text from Anna Walshe, apparently, or the phone assigned to her immediately thereafter. Did she text you? You see that?
Yes, I do.
Then the phone assigned to Brian Walshe says yes. And then the next text is on page 10 at 6:39:36. Anna Walshe texts, at least her phone does, I didn't see it.
Yes, correct.
And then a few seconds later, that phone texts, great.
Yes.
And then that same phone assigned to Anna Walshe at 6:40 texts, let me have Stephen confirm and I'll Venmo them.
Yes, correct.
And then there's a text that says, great, from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe. Then immediate text about an hour and a half later that says, hello. And that's at page 11 on Exhibit 169 at 8:03:04.
Correct, yes.
So based on your investigation and based on your review of this data, that series of texts where they're talking about a deal and Venmo and everything else, it appears to you, doesn't it, that they were involved in the sale of property or something. Is that fair to say?
It appears they were looking at
Conclusion. Oh, withdraw.
You can answer.
It appears they were looking at properties and possibly have sold the property or something based off those text messages.
Did you, as one of the investigators in the case, did you have any assignment to go try to explore what this sale was?
I did not.
Okay. Let me ask you something, Trooper. You're assigned to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, correct?
Yes.
There's a number of other troopers that are assigned to that office specifically to investigate serious felonies, allegations of serious felonies, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And is it fair to say that, I think earlier in cross-examination testimony, you said that you collaborated, you talked to each other, you
Correct.
shared information, correct?
Yes.
And so one of the reasons you share information amongst your fellow troopers that are assigned to the district attorney's office is so you can all learn more about the case and make a better understanding of what the data means and what the information you're getting might mean, correct?
Yeah, we collaborate, share information about any investigation going on.
Based on your collaboration with your fellow troopers in connection with this case, are you aware of any one of your fellow troopers assigned to investigate this case that ever went out and tried to determine the nature of that sale of property that we just went through based on the information that's in these three different sources of information?
I believe so.
Okay. And do you know what the sale of property was?
I don't know the details of it.
Do you know where the property was that was sold?
I believe the North Shore somewhere.
Do you know how much it involved?
I do not.
Do you know whose name that property was in?
I do not.
Do you know where the proceeds went, the proceeds of the sale went?
No, sir.
Okay. I want to ask you, refer to Exhibit 169 on the screen. It'll be at page 11, a text time-stamped at 8:03:04 p.m. And there is a text coming from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe that says, hello.
Yes.
It's followed by a text that says, from the phone assigned to Anna Walshe, phone died.
Correct.
There's a text that immediately follows that, indicates a screenshot of a phone.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And then a text that immediately follows, literally, that's the word that's used. And that's coming from the phone assigned to Anna Walshe.
Yes.
And then a text that follows about 2 minutes later, coming from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe, where he simply says hello.
Yes.
Then an immediate text after that from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe. Do you need a new phone?
Correct.
And then there is that text where it appears at 6:18:55 a.m. at page 14 on Exhibit 169, where Brian Walshe, the phone assigned to Brian Walshe, is texting location data to 1001 Connecticut Avenue, northwest, a Verizon store.
Yes, it appears to be an address to a Verizon store.
Okay, and that's what we talked about a little bit before, right?
Right, yes.
But now we have it in context, don't we? We realize that there's text going back between these phones of Anna Walsh's phone seems to not be working right, and then the phone assigned to Brian Walshe finds the location of the store and sends it to you.
Yes.
And if you just keep going down those texts, the next text, the phone assigned to Anna Walshe, she says, thank you, right?
Yes.
Okay, now we're changed to the next date, 12/28/22. We're looking at Exhibit 169, and there's a series of texts that began at 7:10:59 a.m. on page 14, and the phone assigned to Anna Walshe says, "Will work from home today," correct?
Correct.
And then there's a text that follows 3 minutes later from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe, says, "Feel better."
Correct.
And I mean, from reading those texts, it would suggest that Anna Walshe wasn't feeling well, and she was working at home, correct?
Yes.
And then there's a text immediately thereafter from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe saying, "Let me get the boys ready." Correct?
Yes.
As we scroll through these texts, the text at page 16, timestamp 7:15:15 a.m., there's a text comes from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe, says, "Love you." Correct?
Could you scroll down a little further, please?
Page 16, timestamp 7:15:15 a.m.
Yes, correct.
And then immediately thereafter, there is a text, page 16, immediately following that text, coming from the phone assigned to Anna Walshe, and she says, "Love," or the phone says, "Love you too."
Correct.
The phone assigned to Brian Walshe says, "I will get you a plunger." Correct?
Yes.
Next text from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe, "and a Porsche."
Yes.
The phone assigned to Anna Walshe says, "Ha ha."
Correct.
Then Anna Walshe phone says, "Thank you."
Yes.
The phone assigned to Brian Walshe says they both start with P.
Correct.
Do you think that phone is referring to the Porsche and the plunger?
Yes, sir.
And then Anna Walshe, the phone anyway, responds, "I'll take care of the plunger. You just get the Porsche." Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a couple of texts back and forth saying, "Ha ha, ha ha." Right?
Yes.
Immediately thereafter, at about an hour and a half later, same exhibit, 169, page 20, at 9:26:13 a.m., from the phone assigned to Brian Walshe, there's a screenshot of a Porsche, correct?
Yeah, it appears to be a vehicle. I don't know if it's a Porsche or not, sir.
Okay. And then there's a second text and another screenshot. And can you tell if it's of a Porsche?
Don't believe so based off the picture.
Okay. Then at 9:30.
Okay, back in the Live Impact studio after a look at the Brian Walshe trial that is ongoing. And 5 minutes left here in our morning live stream. So we want to do one more check-in on the weather. That's been the main story all day today, as you know, if you've been with us for some time here. So let's roam around here. Why don't we start? We just looked around Hampton Roads. Why don't we start by checking out Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia received a healthy dose of snow this morning. Doesn't look like it's snowing there any longer, but you can certainly tell. I mean, the entire ground coated with snow. and it really a very wintry scene here that you're looking at, as you can see the barren trees in the background and then the snow-covered grounds in the foreground, and the walkways uncovered, but any of that grassy area completely covered by snow. And for a large portion of this live stream, there was a steady snowfall kind of coming down on Richmond, and it's exactly what our weather team said was going to happen. While we were largely spared in portions of our viewing area, Richmond received a healthy amount of snow early this morning, and so you can see the effects of that right there in that live shot. Why don't we go to Washington, D.C.? We talk about the snow slowing down. That does not appear to be the case in our live shot of the White House. The White House is blanketed with snow over there. The White House lawn, the Washington Monument that you can see the base of in the back, and it is coming down. What's up, Sarah Calloway?
We just got an update from, I think, Virginia State Police about how many crashes they've had since the snow started falling.
Okay, let's see if we can get that update going for you. Crash statistics. Did you want to read through?
You go ahead.
Okay, I thought you might dive into it there. Virginia State Police encouraging drivers to pay attention. Messaging from VDOT, and make sure you check road conditions before heading out. Okay, here are our statistics. Since midnight, there have been 141 crashes statewide. 20 have resulted in injuries, but there have been no fatalities, which is what we really love to hear. So that is the update here. We got 141 crashes statewide, 20 have resulted in injuries, no fatalities since midnight, and that is through an early morning of snow in many parts of the state. Varying degrees of intensity with that snow and precipitation throughout most of the Commonwealth, or at least this eastern portion of the Commonwealth. And so that is great to hear. No fatalities, 20 crashes have resulted in injuries, 141 crashes total. And as we were talking to Taylor Stephenson,
12 of those crashes were in Hampton Roads.
12 of those crashes in Hampton Roads. Okay. One with injury. Okay, great update. Thank you, Sarah. 12 crashes in Hampton Roads, one with injury. And we know that Taylor Stephenson, while she was driving, while she was talking to us live, did in fact see a crash in her route in the Weather Interceptor earlier today. But again, no fatalities so far have been reported, and that's all coming from Virginia State Police. So ultimately, that is the most important thing, and that is what